Now for the real deal New England feel.
I went off the rails. I might so down to be ashamed of myself.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
CORSO and CATONE.
To CORSO and CATONE, the real deal New England feel. I'm CORSO. CATONE is here. Joe's with us in the booth, and you are watching us on YouTube, listening on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast. Anywhere you podcast, you can catch us. And, of course, we want to hear from you in Heated Hotline, 855-313-PATS, P-A-T-S. It's a message line. Leave a message 24/7. Have a take. Or you can email us in our mailbag, corso.catone@gmail.com. Got a good one. Super Bowl 60. We're Super Bowl bound. The New England Patriots defeated the Denver Broncos 10-7. We're going to get into that whole game. We've got a lot to talk about, a lot to discuss. And we're going to hear from one of you in Heated Hotline first, right off the top. And a weekly rewind, we're going to go back, talk about that game, talk about that championship game, both championship games a little bit. We're going to discuss. And then, of course, Catone's comments. You never want to miss that. I have a feeling that I know what it's going to be today. I just given the amount of emails we've gotten this past week and calls, I kind of have am I on the right track?
Maybe. Next week, I'm going to do driving in the snow.
Oh, boy.
I'm just going to tell you. That'll be next week. I'm going to give them a preview. So tune in next week for that because I'm going to bring my driver's manual out.
So, but to start, we want to get to Heated Hotline. I want to hear from one of you. But first,
I'm going to run.
I've taken the last timeout, and here we go. This could close it. 3rd and 6. No safety deep. Oh, here he goes. He can try to beat him with his legs. As Ellis runs after him, and May got there. Drake May outraces the defender, and the Patriots now only need to fall on it, kneel on it, and they can make their plans for Santa Clara. Drake May and the aggressive call by Josh McDaniels sends New England to the Super Bowl. Here on the victory platform with the New England Patriot legend Adam Vinatieri to present the Lamar Hunt Trophy. As the AFC champions, Patriots.
How appropriate was that in a snowstorm?
Present the trophy now to Robert and Jonathan Kraft and the Kraft family. Adam, all yours.
It's my absolute honor to present
Couldn't
the
plan
Lamar Hunt
that
Trophy to you, Mr. Kraft, and the family, and all the New England Patriot Nation out there. Congratulations. Congratulations, you guys.
I can't tell you how proud I am to be associated with these guys and this organization. I want to thank Robert and Jonathan. I love our quarterback. I love our football team. I love our staff. I'm a lucky head coach.
What your team did today to win in a game with conditions like this, and your defense was just dominant.
Well, just again, we've won in a bunch of different ways this entire season, and today it was just different conditions, and again, we did what we felt like we needed to do to win a football game.
You know, for you, Mike, you've experienced what it's like to be at a Super Bowl and win Super Bowls, and now you get to go to Santa Clara, and you have a chance to be the first person ever to both win a Super Bowl as a player and as a coach for the same franchise, which would be incredible. How about that?
I won't win it. It'll be the players that'll win the game. I promise you. It won't be me that'll win it, and I promise you I'll do everything that I can and our staff to have them ready for the game.
that was, of course, Vrabel. There was some sounds from the game and the final play call of the AFC Championship game that saw your New England Patriots defeat the Denver Broncos on the road for the first time in history the Patriots win a playoff game in Denver. We exercised a lot of demons. Did
we exercise demons?
So we need
Brady. He did something Brady never did.
Never did. So we got a lot to talk about. We want to discuss that, but Joe tells me we need to start with hearing from one of you in Heated Hotline, and we're going to do that as soon as Joe's ready.
Yeah, this is Anthony from Shrewsbury, and I wanted to talk about Drake May. The thing with Drake May, you know, he has trouble in the weather. He's got small hands, and he has trouble when he's, handling slippery balls. So, when his balls get wet, it's real slippery for him because his hands are small. So that's the problem, I think, with the Patriots. They've been struggling a little bit. But, hopefully it'll be okay in San Francisco or wherever they're playing. And, go Pats.
What the hell was his name? Anthony from
Anthony
Shrewsbury?
from Shrewsbury.
Yeah. Anthony, thank you for the call. Very interesting take. Joe,
right.
It's an interesting selection by you. And
that's something not many people have been talking about, small hands.
There you go, Joe.
Small hands and wet balls. So
small hands, wet balls. All right, listen.
Right.
But do you think, though, listen, he brings up an interesting point, though.
Yeah,
do you think that has hampered him in this weather the last couple of games?
Well, so the question, so we'll get it. We'll start. Well, obviously,
Brady had freaking mitts, so it didn't bother him.
Yeah, it has to matter. It has to make a difference. And I think leading in all the playoff games leading up, where he's put the ball on the ground, it makes a difference. You talked about that last week. Brady he has bigger hands. He's able to control, handle the ball better, tuck it in when he's feeling pressure, get to the ground, take the sack. May has not demonstrated the ability to do that. Now he was sacked another 5 times in this game.
Although I think he did that in this last game, though, Chris. I think he did go down a couple of times just to protect the ball.
He did, and he certainly didn't. There were no turnovers, so he certainly fixed that problem. But I think that opened up, in doing so, I think it opened up a sub. So it's okay, Mark. Why is he having?
Point, I guess, is he'll do better in San Francisco because the weather should be perfect.
Should be better. But why is he having such a bad playoff, Mark?
Listen, they've done something no other team on the road to the Super Bowl has done. They've beaten 3 top 5 defenses, Chris. Right? No one in the history of a Super Bowl run has beaten 3 top 5 defenses to get there. So the level of competition on the defensive side of the ball, Chris, is going drastically up. Your receivers are having an extremely difficult time creating space and getting open. Your security blanket tight end can't create space and get open against fast, athletic, quick linebackers.
And he's dropping some passes, too.
He's dropping some passes because I think his clock is sped up, right? Your offensive line has had some struggles against elite pass rushers. I think all of that has played into his struggles in the playoffs, Chris.
Well, this is interesting. This is when you talk about the defenses, okay?
And the other thing, Chris, is when you got defenses that are that good, you typically can't run the ball that well either. So it's not like Stevenson's going to run for 150 yards against any of those defenses that help open up the play action. That wasn't happening either.
Well, this is what Greg Bedard of the Boston Sports Journal had to say about May in that what you just discussed.
You will not hear me spouting the line that Drake May has beaten 3 top 5 defenses on his way to the Super Bowl.
He makes a good
That
point.
is not what happened. The defense won the first 2 games. He certainly contributed and made some big timely plays, and that's great. This game was also about the defense that forced, a turnover that gave them the short field that got them their only touchdown. So Drake May was involved. He did not, win these games. That first of all, as long as the weather's good, I think he stands a very good chance of playing better. I think that what you've seen in the first 3 games, including today, with the elements, that's the way playoffs go. I mean, it's hard. I'm sure if you looked at Tom Brady's splits, especially once they got out of the tomato can
weren't
games,
good in 01.
His regular season numbers and his postseason numbers would be, very different. And so it's just the way things go. Plus, we're used to seeing Drake May over in a 17-game schedule against the 32nd ranked offensive schedule.
Well, okay, so he contradicts himself a little bit there, but so here are the numbers, okay? Completion percentage from like 77 down to 55 in the playoffs. Passing yards 177 a game down. TD, touchdowns 4 to interceptions 4-2. I'll take one of those away because it was the Hail Mary in one of those. He loses 3 fumbles. He's sacked 15 times, Mark. He's been sacked
That's
in
a
the
problem.
playoffs. But he's rushed the ball for 141 yards with 1 touchdown. So, listen, here's the thing with this game, okay, in my opinion. Yeah, obviously, when it hit end of third quarter into fourth quarter, there was nobody doing anything on offense.
Not in that weather.
When that weather hit. But I agree with Bedard. Let's not inflate this. He has not beaten 3 top 5 defenses. Now, he's had moments against them, but he hasn't it's not like because of him, they're where they are right now.
No,
So,
I made reference to the 3 top 5 defenses in regards to the fact that he is struggling because his receiving core cannot get open against those teams.
well, that's the deeper issue into it. When you say, okay, well, why? Why is it a problem? Why is the issue? These guys, they make their blanket statement and nobody ever goes deeper like you're doing. When you go deeper into it, you figure it out. When you look at the overheads and you look at the end zone cams and you see
Bad, Chris.
the footage and you see the receivers out there, now, they're not getting separation. They're not getting open with the same regularity that they were throughout the season. It just isn't happening. And that's fine. That's playoff football. I get that. So maybe there's 1 or 2 or 3 times in a game where guys are really coming free versus, all day long in other games. But the problem that I have right now is the short hop throws, things I'm seeing out of him in this game that I didn't see before. I didn't see the ball, that in cut to Booty before the half, right? Would have made that field goal a lot easier, or where he just short hops it, bounces the ball.
Is that the that was before he got hit and tackled on his shoulder. So
I think so.
Yeah, it was. So did he have a little bit of a shoulder issue going into the game, Chris, and they just didn't say anything? I mean, because they can't say that was from the shoulder because that happens later in the game, later in the third quarter.
They don't deny it. This is what they said.
I don't know if you've actually even been asked this directly yet, but did Drake hurt his shoulder on Sunday?
No, I wouldn't say that anybody hurt anything. Again, this is a sport where there's going to be things that come up, but I don't think that there's we'll talk about whatever status each player has for the game. Once we're required to, we understand that, but we were able to function offensively, throw the football, run the football. So that's kind of where everybody's at.
Suffer a right shoulder injury on Sunday against the Broncos.
I'm feeling good. We got some extra rest, and
not really an
answer.
answer.
I think it's from the game. I think just the built up of throwing for almost including training camp, 30 weeks straight of throwing and 4 days a week. It can add up. But I think we got some extra rest, and I'm feeling good, and you're ready to go to Super Bowl.
Well, Chris, I'm going to be honest with you, though. This could be one of those things where a lot of times you see in baseball, Chris, when they bring up a young guy that hasn't thrown a lot of innings, in his career or, in college, because he's coming from, say, college or something, or they limit the number of pitches he throws during the course of a year, right? So with May saying that, in all honesty, Chris, what did he play, 9, 10 college games a year? He's thrown a shitload more passes than he's ever thrown before. So his arm may be a little tired, just like a pitcher.
Yeah,
I mean,
hanging.
He might have got dinged up a little bit, but his arm, I wouldn't doubt that his arm is tired, Chris, from all those reps. And if he did get banged up the shoulder a little bit, I don't think it was from that hit against Denver. If you go back and watch that Charger tape, Chris, he got his ass kicked in that Charger tape.
Oh, yeah.
That Charger game, Chris, he was banged all over the field. Even when he wasn't sacked, they were putting him on the ground,
pulling the ball out of his hand.
Yeah,
with his back hand.
Yeah, if he tweaked that shoulder, my guess is it happened in that Charger game.
Couple of things. Look, if he re-aggravated, he's definitely dealing with something.
He might have re-aggravated it on that play, Chris. He may very well have.
So he was on that fake injury report that they have to put out this week as limited.
Well, I think that, Chris, they had to because everybody made such a big thing of it. Otherwise, they wouldn't have put him down as limited because he did throw in practice. They wouldn't have put limited on there.
And it seems like certain throws. Like the throw after that hit, the throw that he makes, the flea flicker
to Hollins was a perfect throw.
Perfect pass.
Over two guys.
Then 2 passes later or whatever later, he opens the throw to the out to Booty, and he missed it completely. And there's a difference between throwing across your body and opening up to throw.
Yeah.
And maybe those types of throws are maybe hurting him a little bit. I don't know. But his footwork was terrible. If you really look at him, his footwork was really lousy in this game. So I don't know that it's got to do with the shoulder more than it has to do with, one, I think they got to him and they told him, you can't put the ball on the ground anymore. That's it. No matter what, the ball's got to come out.
Once you do that, though, Chris, now he's thinking too much and he's not playing instinctively. Yeah.
Right. I think that's more of what it was.
I want to be honest with you, Chris. I don't doubt his shoulder's probably tired from as he said, you've been doing this now for 30 straight weeks, right? So maybe it's tired, but they got 2 weeks, Chris, to get him ready for the Super Bowl. They'll give him some stuff, some meds, whatever they're going to do pregame. Saturday night, he'll be fine. Listen, Donald's been playing with an oblique for 2 weeks. He's been on the injury report for 2 weeks. You're not going to tell me an oblique doesn't restrict you from throwing the ball, and he looks fine.
Yeah, I know. Listen, I think he's going to be okay. Anytime you have an issue with your quarterback's throwing shoulder, it's a deal. It's a big deal. You got to deal with it. You got to talk about it. Yep. You got to address it. But I think the issues he's had are twofold. One, the coaches told him, ball's got to come out. You're holding it too long. So that's in his head, like Mark said. And two, what Anthony is talking about in his funny way when he called in, which is the weather. This is not a guy who likes to play in bad weather. We'll have to address that at another time because he plays in New England.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that when the season's over. Right.
But for right now, he's not going to have to deal with that weather. But Anthony, we appreciate the call from Shrewsbury.
Well, let's hope not, Chris, because sometimes San Francisco does get rain.
Yeah.
So we gotta hope that it's a nice, clear night in the 60s, 50s, and 60s, so we can throw the football.
That's what we're hoping for. So we'll see what happens. We're gonna have so much more to talk about with Drake May and his shoulder coming up in this show, next show, tomorrow on the Pats Nation. But Heated Hotline was presented by the Pats Nation Sundays, 8 a.m. Eastern. Hey, tune in tomorrow morning where we're gonna have our first look at the Seattle Seahawks. Discuss more about this. And talk a little Belichick in the Hall of Fame. So you don't want to miss that. Stick around for that. When we come back, going to go back in the week and break down this game other than the quarterback. In Weekly Rewind, no flipping.
Sundays are for football. And here in New England, that means it's the Pats Nation with Corso and Catone. Sundays, 8 to 9 a.m.
Back in with more Corso and Catone, the real deal, New England Feel. All right, we talked about the quarterback a little bit. Let's discuss the rest of the offense. We're going to do it in Weekly Rewind, and we're going to do it right now. Going back through the week, about a Weekly Rewind.
Patriots fortunate? Nah, couldn't be. Look, I think they went into this game and it was a topic of conversation, and I wrote about it this morning about how, I'm sure everybody said it this week, that if Drake May continued to play like he did in the first 2 playoff games, putting the ball in harm's way, putting the ball on the ground, they probably weren't going to win this game, unless Jarrett Stidham was really, really horrible. And so I think they went into this game with the mindset of, Drake needs to make his 3 or 4 elite plays. In this game, it was probably all with his legs. Then I can think of, throwing the ball. And as long as we don't turn the ball over, then our chances of winning are very good because we know Jarrett Stidham. Josh McDaniels knows Jarrett Stidham. I think anybody who knows Jarrett Stidham knew that if you could get him heated up, he would fold. And in this game, credit to the Patriots for generating that pressure.
Okay, so that was Greg Bedard, the Boston Sports Journal. So we'll get to the defense after this segment. But talking about the rest of the offense, I mean, we talked about Drake May a little bit. I give those reasons as the reasons he was sped up in this game.
Yep.
Obviously, the defense, the weather, all of it. I mean, the moment, But the rest of the offense, Mark, like, okay, so I mean, there were 10 completions in this game. All right. 2 to Hollins, 5 to Stiggs, but for 17 yards. It was an ugly passing game, passing performance. We'll get to Stevenson in a second, but because I thought he's a bright spot. But
and in all honesty, Chris, you only had 3 quarters where you could throw the football.
Yeah.
The fourth quarter, we were going into the wind with that snow, like it was like a blizzard. He wasn't throwing the ball in the fourth quarter. So what they did was basically based off of 3 quarters.
Yeah. And so, but looking at this game,
passing the ball.
Do you see it as a bigger issue moving forward though into the Super Bowl? Like, in other words, okay, I get it. There's a lot of excuses as to why the offense didn't perform in this game.
Yep.
But Mark, the offense hasn't performed in 3 games now. Really?
No.
I mean, they scored 21 against Houston. He threw 3 touchdowns against Houston. So they put 21 points up on the board. Okay. Because they got the turnover for the pick 6.
Yeah.
Is this offense does this offense as the clock struck 12 on this offense? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it's pretty close, Chris. I just think that the level of competition is so much better that what you and I have talked about since before training camp, when we looked at this roster, is now being exposed. Let's be honest, Chris. We're in the Super Bowl. You and I are ecstatic that we're in the Super Bowl.
I can't understand it, but
don't fool yourself. And I think we can win the game. And we'll talk about this more next week when we really dive into the game. I think we can win it. But Chris, we are a flawed team. We're here way ahead of schedule as a flawed team. And part of that flaw, those flaws are the wide receiver room. You and I screamed that after the draft. What the hell did you do to fix the worst part of the team, the receiver room? Well, linebackers maybe just as bad, but they didn't do anything, Chris.
But nothing, no position to me more impactful
than the wide receiver room.
Right.
So that, I think, is a direct issue that you've been saying it all year, Chris. That can't be fixed. The center of the field issues can't be fixed until the offseason. Okay, fine. So, the clock probably has struck 12 on the receiver room because you're now facing elite defenses. However, I will say this about Seattle, and you said this the last 3 days to me, Chris.
Yeah.
They scheme really well.
Really well.
However, you don't believe they've got the same individual talent in the secondary as Denver or Houston. Maybe they do as much as the Chargers, but not as much as Houston and Denver did.
No, I don't think so. I mean, Witherspoon is a dude. You know,
Witherspoon's a dude. Witherspoon's a dude.
They got guys that are fundamentally sound. They do think they're not guys that jump off the page where you say, "Oh, this is an all-pro guy. That's an all-pro guy." They got them. They got some of them, but what they do really well.
Yeah,
do it sound, and they don't make a lot of mistakes in that secondary.
So Chris, when you asked the question, as the clock struck midnight on this offense, I would say in the wide receiver room, yes. But you mentioned Ramondre Stevenson. Talk about him.
Yeah, listen, I think to me, I mean, I think it's just crazy to say because we've come full circle on this guy now. Yeah. You know, everybody was ready to cut his ass at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Well, this guy's been your MVP on the offense. If you take away the quarterback for a second,
Chris, even on the flea flicker, did you see the block after he took that ball back to protect May from getting crushed?
Not being discussed enough
at all. Yeah.
He pitches that ball back to May, and as soon as he turned around, that dude was in his face, and he let him out. I mean, listen.
Yeah.
Ramondre Stevenson has been the best offensive player for them all playoffs.
Yeah.
All playoffs. When he went on to that game against Houston, it was
with the eye injury,
noticeable. Like you said, you got to get this guy back in the game. And the same thing held true on Sunday. he had 25 rushes for 71 yards. Yeah, he only had 2.83 yards a carry. I get that. But the blocking, the blitz pickup, the catching, just the overall calm that he brings to that offense, and you could see it when Henderson comes on the field. So, like,
Chris, is McDaniel's going to have to reinvent the passing game and come up with some different things to try to get these guys open?
In this game, he will.
In this game?
Yeah.
Can I bring this up about McDaniels? I want you, now that you brought him up, Mark, because I've been waiting for somebody to bring this up about him. Like, why is he not in the spotlight right now with the types of plays that he's calling? Like, I mean, granted, the weather was the weather, but like the same running play in a row, how many times can we run straight in the middle? Like, there's no sweeps to the side. They never did anything we talked about check down, short passing, none of that. And I didn't see any of that stuff, which could have been done in that game. And I point to McDaniels for all of that.
See, I'm the other way.
Okay.
I want to give McDaniels a lot of credit, because
explain.
Because I think it was decided early on in this game that offense was going to be the premium, the points were going to be the premium, I should say, and that it was going to have to be a different type of game plan in that they were. I hate saying it this way because I don't know how any other way to say it, Mark. Help me out. Like not to lose. Like, like we weren't going to be explosive today. We weren't going to be peeling, we weren't going to have plays busted for home runs. We weren't going to have that in this game. It was going to have to be a professional offense. Take what they give you. Let's play smart football and let's play good defense. I mean, that's what it turned into, no? But I will give you some of it, Joe. I will say to you that there were some things they could have done. Mark and I were yelling a little bit about it too. Basically playing afraid of the rush, afraid to lose. I think that's kind of what Joe's saying.
So, Joe, one sequence that I agree with you, Joe, is wholeheartedly was so after they and I was on the phone with Chris at the time. So after the flea flicker to Hollins. Like he ran, God damn it, get on the ball. And now you only had the wind at your back for another minute and a half, 2 minutes. Get on the goddamn ball and almost play like you're in 2 minutes and go, move, go. You got them on their heels, go. See if you can punch one in. And they didn't do that. He turned, handed it off to Stevenson, like Joe's saying. That was the one moment in the game, Chris.
Yeah.
If you score a touchdown, the game's over. You knew the game was over because at that point, you had figured Stidham out. Stidham wasn't moving the ball. It was snowing. It was windy. And I thought that was a moment where McDaniels, he didn't go for the jugular, Chris. Get on the ball. Let's go. We can score here and win it. We'll win this game right now. And they didn't do it.
The only thing I'll say in his defense to this is what we ended up seeing after on the mic'd up information. Like when they had Drake May was mic'd up.
I get that.
And I think he realized that I don't have Brady. Like May came to the sideline.
In that situation, if he had Brady would have been on the ball and they would have went for the jugular right there.
Yeah, I think so. I think in this situation, I mean, when we heard that mic'd up audio you sent to me, where May came, it was like it was right before the start of that. It was 6 minutes left in the game. And May came to the sideline and was sitting there with his head down saying
but that's because he was going into the wind the other way at that point, though, too.
Right. No, I know. But he said, this is really hard. This is really hard. Like a little kid basically coming.
And he is. He's a kid. He's my son's age.
Yeah. And saying, this is hard. Like, I don't know if I could do this. Like, that's the kind of.
Now, now, my question to you after what we heard all week, was he saying that because the shoulder was hurting? He saw, I can't throw.
No, I just think it seemed like it was overall.
It was overall. Okay.
Just overall, just whoa, Right. And like watching McDaniels get on one knee and look up into his face.
Almost like he was talking to his son.
Yeah. And laugh. He said, it is hard. It is. He said to him, it is really hard. It is. But if we can do this for 6 minutes, if we can give, then it's going to be something really special. Like, you know what I mean? Like, come on, kid, pull it together. We're all right. You know, like looking at that, watching that scene, Joe, that tells me the value that Sky brings to the table this whole season. You know what I mean? Of without Josh McDaniels, I'm wondering if they're even here.
No, probably not. Probably not.
So, you know, yeah, there were things he could have done and probably should have done differently. And I think that with a more experienced guy, I think 2 years from now,
he gets on the ball with them there.
Yeah, no excuse, Joe. No excuse.
Fair enough. I'll take respectfully. I'll take that perspective, just because I've heard nobody talk about it from that perspective at all. You know what I mean?
And then lastly, Mark, the offensive line. Look, I mean, talk about Campbell.
Now everyone's saying, "Oh, Campbell played a better game."
It was better. It was better.
It was better, but Chris. Do you know how many times Bonino went by him and just missed getting to May? Just missed getting to May. You know. So yeah, he gets credit with that, not giving up a sack. But Jesus Christ, Bonino must have sped up May at least a half a dozen times, maybe more, at least.
Yeah. I just don't know if this is a tackle. You know, I just think we're watching a guard play tackle right now. And the better the competition becomes. Look, Mark, you talk about the first 3 picks in the draft, okay? And maybe this isn't uncommon. You need some years to get good and be a contributor. But you're having to scheme to protect the 4th pick in the draft. We're trying to protect our number 4 pick in the draft, left tackle, our Joe Alt. We're having to scheme. Oh, of course not. I know, but my point is it's the same place in the draft. We're having to scheme to protect that guy. Trevion Henderson is now invisible. He's useless right now at this moment. I don't mean as a human.
Second round pick
in the draft. Yeah, second round pick. Your 3rd round pick, again, equally
is irrelevant.
So you're really getting nothing now at this stage from your picks, from your top 3 picks. You're not getting anything.
And everyone keeps saying what a good draft they had.
Yeah. I mean, and that may be that may remain to be seen if those guys will end up dudes. I don't know. But right now, at this moment, you're not getting anything from them. So
Kyle Williams will never be a dude.
No, I don't think so either. So yeah, there was a lot of things that the offense could have done, should have done.
I was
different.
Cleaning out of course, we had the snowstorm, and on Monday I was cleaning some stuff out of one of my bags, and I found my notes from the draft, last year's draft. I didn't put them in a binder for some reason, so I put them in a binder, and I'm flipping through, and I'm looking at my wide receivers, and of course I got Abuka ranked number 1. Well, I had Abuka ranked over Hunter, by the way. But anyways, because I think Hunter's going to be an all-pro corner. But anyways, you know what? I didn't realize it. I'm like, oh, I didn't even mention him. I did. I had Kyle Williams on my board as a 5th round pick.
There you go.
And my notes were, he has speed. Take a chance with him in the 5th round. Now, I would have never taken him in the 3rd round of the draft.
Right. So, yeah, so you're not getting much out of them. Yeah, there's things they could have done better offensively in this game. Absolutely. What they did do, I'll tell you what, that once we got the turnover and that quarterback keeper, how they did it, the formation.
Was that an RPO?
Beautiful.
Was that a run pass option on his
No,
part?
that was a designed run because it was such a.
The offensive line is saying they had no idea he was doing that.
Oh, you're talking about the end of the game.
I thought you were talking about
you're talking about the only touchdown.
Oh, okay, the touchdown. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean that was such a really nicely designed.
That was
play.
designed.
They spread them out and then release Ramondre Stevenson out into the pattern because they had 10 personnel, which put that linebacker in jeopardy. Which basically said, I got to cover this guy, and he wasn't looking at the center, Bradbury. Bradbury released straight out downfield. That's his key. That's the linebacker's key, Mark, in that situation. So the linebacker's supposed to see that happen and come off your coverage and come and play the run or the sneak, and they do it. So good job by them. And you know what? For as much, as a kid he is, Drake May, to take the balls that he did. I know we're over, but the balls that he had on 3rd and 6 at the end of the game. This was Bradbury's comment, okay? I hit my block, they said, and all the defense started running the other way. I'm like, what? Oh, my God. After the game, Drake's like, I debated telling you guys if I was going to keep it or not, but I decided not to. I'm expecting Ramondre to hit the hole, and I turn around. Drake's over there with the ball, and I'm like, go, 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 because we didn't know.
Imagine that.
I mean,
so you don't think McDaniel had any clue? You don't think McDaniel gave him the option?
I don't think – I mean, he may have said to him, look, if you got something, take it, you know. But that was May. That was all May.
And when he came, they showed the clip, Chris, on NFL films. When he comes into the huddle to start that drive, he's screaming, one first down, one first down,
boys.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he took control of the huddle. He was, he was, like you said, he's a second-year guy. But in that moment, that particular moment wasn't too big for him. He had the know-all to say, I'm taking this because I think I can make it.
We're gonna end up in victory. He, got a lot of credibility in that moment. So that was an MVP play, an MVP moment right there.
Oh, and by the way, the league's MVP is home. I just figured I'd throw that out there because Stafford's gonna be the MVP, but he's home.
Right. He's home. So, but this portion of Weekly Rewind was presented by the Pats Nation. Sundays, tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern, we're going to be on. We're going to be talking about the first look at Seattle, some more of this game, talk a little bit of Belichick and his snub into the Hall of Fame, so much more. When we come back on a Stay in Weekly Rewind, go to the other side of the ball, talk more defense and more of this game. No flipping.
Sundays are for football. And here in New England, that means it's the Pats Nation with Corso and Catone. Sundays, 8 to 9 a.m.
Weeks in a row it was always, whoever the Texans, they talked about the Texans defense, and then this week it was all about the Broncos defense. And like Milt said, I think it's shown we get that chip on our shoulder.
I feel like every week we show who we are, and we still don't get no respect. So, we had the number one O-line in the group today. So we'll see what somebody else said about that when y'all watch the tape and go see what we did today.
That was Gonzalez and Williams after the game talking about the defense.
If they got a chip on their shoulder last week, this week's going to be even worse. Next week's going to be even worse. All they're doing is talking about Seattle and how they're going to kill us.
Yeah, Mark, listen, the defense, what do you say? What can you say?
Let me ask you this, Chris, because I know the first quarter and a half of the game, you were screaming. Tell our viewers what you were so pissed off about the first quarter and a half, and then like halfway through the second quarter, they started to switch, and especially coming out of the locker room. But what pissed you off the first half of that game?
Oh, the zone, the being in zone. Like, look, we got here, so. There's no argument that the defense is what brought us here for these 3 games to get us into the Super Bowl. The defense has played lights out, fantastic, all of that. Okay. Yes. I don't want to hear it. I get it. They had breaks. I don't want to hear that nonsense. Offensive line for the Chargers. Stroud wet himself. No Nico Collins. No tight end. Here we come in this game. No Bo Nix. It's a blizzard. All that stuff. Okay. I get it. Okay. I want to push all of that aside for a minute.
How about they get Brady beat Mariota and Bortles? Nobody said anything that year, did they?
Right.
When they beat Mariota and Bortles?
No.
We lost to Nick Foles, but still.
No, I was pissed because that touchdown, it was 3rd and 10. The touchdown we gave up to Denver, okay? And it was set up by that play action deep pass to Mims, right?
Bid on.
That pissed me off in so many ways because, first of all,
Joe, I think he's going to tell us, Joe. I think
so many.
First of all, why you're not heating him up from the second you got off the bus is what I called for last week on the show. The minute you get out of off the bus, you need to be blitzing Stidham. End of story. Period. Now, for some reason, they're sitting in zone. It's 3rd and 10. They're not running the ball. There's no threat of play action. This team could not run the ball at all in this game. Denver. Okay. So part of play action is the ability to run the ball, the threat of the run. Well, if you're 3rd and 10, the first thing I'm telling my safeties is, hey, listen, don't bite on PA. Don't bite on play action. Don't bite on double moves. You know what I mean? None of that. We play the pass, we drop. That's it. So if you are going to be the stupidity of being in a zone in that situation instead of bringing heat, what the hell were the safeties doing, Mark?
Yeah.
So we blame Gonzalez.
And listen, I know Gonzalez should have ran. Yes, Gonzalez should have turned and ran with him. I get that, but I do think Chris Gonzalez thought he had help over the top.
Yeah, he did. He had to get deep help, and he didn't get the help. And no. Gonzalez just isn't right in zone. He doesn't look right playing a zone.
No,
he just doesn't. No. And I said I was so pissed off, and I'm like, God damn it! This is not complicated. This is not a complicated thing to have to do. Bring heat against this kid, and if he beats you over the top, I'll take my hat off to him, Mark.
Chris, he wouldn't have scored one. He wouldn't have scored any points if they did what you said out of the gate. He wouldn't have.
3rd and 10, light his ass up. Light him up, man.
Light his ass up. And then everybody's criticizing Sean Payton for going on the 4th and 1.
Well, yeah, you have to. I mean, you and I were like, what the hell's... I mean, you and I have been bitching about this for years now. Ever since...
I mean, you're up 7-0 with that defense. Our offense looked awful. And you're not putting 10 points on the goddamn board? You're going to go for it with a backup quarterback who hasn't played since 2023?
No. You got a chance to go, even if there's the hint of weather coming in the second half of this game, you got a chance to go up 10 on New England with your backup and you don't do it? Yeah, you know what? That's on him. It's all day on him. I'm glad he didn't do it. And you knew they weren't going to get it. I mean, you could feel that coming to Mark.
Listen, on that particular play, Chris, if you go back and watch the film on that, Woodson jumps it. Woodson did his homework. He knew it was coming.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, the one thing they ended up doing in this game, which was what I was happy to see eventually, was sitting flat foot reads. They did it against Houston too, where the safeties didn't pedal. I kept telling you that. So watch the flat foot reads. They weren't pedaling backwards. They just sit. They sit in their line spot and they just motor their feet, motor, and then jump on the routes. Jump on the, play the pet run, whatever you're doing, trigger forward. And they did it really, really well. But Mark, the defensive line, this is what Bedard had to say about the defensive front.
Expected the Broncos not to do much on the ground. That's just the way they've been the second half of the season. It's, for whatever reason, the line is not a very good run blocking unit. And without J.K. Dobbins, R.J. Harvey, I really like R.J. Harvey, but, he's a third down back, a gadget back, that type of thing, and not built for, him and McLaughlin. They're not built for between the tackles. They're little guys. So that did not surprise me at all in this game, especially, because Jarrett Stidham's out there and, you don't have to worry about, as opposed with Bo Nix, you don't have to worry about the extra gap with the run game and all that stuff. So it makes it a lot easier to play run defense. And, that was a question. So they played more aggressive. They were able to do that. And then, I absolutely, I agree with you in terms of the pressure that they were able to generate. Surprised me. If the Broncos, their path to success was, for Jarrett Stidham to be very well protected, pressure rate around like 30, 25%, something like that. And, his numbers pressured, not pressured, were night and day. And so,
yeah. So listen, and that's what you and I talked about leading into the game. But Mark, this defensive line, man.
What did I text
and that's good on good. I don't want to hear anybody's bullshit too, because
did I text you at like 1:00 about Bondmore. No one will believe it, about Bondmore and Williams. I was talking to you about the center position.
Yeah,
I said they're going to light this. They're going to light them up. Those two guys are going to light the center of that lineup.
I texted you and said the center is going to play.
Yep.
And you got confused. You said, well, no, that's the backup. No, the starter is back for this game. And you said, I don't care. You said, it don't matter. It doesn't matter. Bondmore and Williams are going to light this offensive lineup. And you know what? We could talk about guys that were all, schedules, all this stuff. Coming into this game, everybody loved Denver's offensive line.
Oh, they said they were one of the best offensive lines in football, they said, Chris. That's what everybody was saying.
we obliterated that offensive line in this game.
The guy that Bondmore throws aside for the sack, Chris, does a swim move, it pushes him aside like a rag doll, is an all-pro.
Right. And he did it to him a couple of years ago, too.
He's an all-pro, that kid. Yeah.
People forget that game. Bondmore had a game.
Bondmore, Chris,
that swim move.
Yep, you've been on Bondmore all year, Chris.
Yeah, right? I have.
But now that Williams is back and Williams is healthy, he really helps Bondmore because Williams has got 2 and 3 guys on him. They just keep chipping him and doing whatever they're going to do to Williams. And Bondmore's getting one-on-one against somebody, and he's getting by them. Yeah, I mean, technically, Chris is an all-pro talent if he's got his head on straight and he's ready to go. You know what I mean?
And like the play recognition and that play, the fumble, the Stidham lateral, whatever that was.
Yeah,
that was a complete screw up by the Broncos. They misread the whole alignment. I mean, we were in zero look on that, and everybody's in double mugs and all that stuff was happening. Well, for some reason, they end up slanting their line left. They shift their line. They slid their line left, and all our pressure was coming from the right. And that left a 4-on-2 on the right-hand side with Ellis running free. Both those guys chasing that guy down. That's how that happened. I mean, but Mark, they were 4 for 14 on 3rd down, 0 for 1 on 4th down, 181 yards total offense.
Listen, much for Sean Payton getting backup quarterbacks ready to roll.
Yeah. Look, like I said,
if it wasn't for that one busted coverage where they bite, the touch, the deep pass, Chris, where this, as you've already gone through what the safety did. If it wasn't for that play, Stidham did not one thing. He did nothing in that game. Nothing.
No.
And their defense kept giving them the ball, Chris, almost at midfield. Our punter had a terrible game.
Oh, he was awful. Our special teams weren't great in this game. And you could say, well, the weather. No, well, the other guy had a great game. The punter for the other team was their best player all day.
Yeah, he was
the stupid punter.
Absolutely was. He kept changing field position. This
isn't the first time Behringer has had issues. I mean, this guy's a problem. They're going to have to bring somebody in next year.
I was just going to say, they're going to have to bring a competition in for him next year to maybe replace him because, he's going to have a better game than that in the Super Bowl because I'm going to tell you something, Chris. They put that kid Shaheed back there. He'll run it back on you if you're punting like shit. He'll run it back, Shaheed.
Right. And so, again, defense, I thought played because I thought Jones didn't have a great game.
And Spillane going out, you got to get him healthy for the Super Bowl, especially with the kid Walker, Chris. We got to get I think he tweaked the same ankle, obviously, because they said right ankle. That's the same ankle.
Yeah. Well, you're going to have to get it right because, you're definitely going to need him because you could see the drop-off when he leaves the game. Yeah. But otherwise, Chason, you're going to have to pay that man. Okay? That guy.
Well, let me tell you something. He's now become, I was going to say, he made himself a ton of money in the playoffs. A ton.
Yes, he did. So defensively, they're kicking on all cylinders, and they got a chip on their shoulder. They're pissed off because nobody's talking about them. They're pissed off because they've been the better defense in every single game they've played. All 3 games they've played.
And they've played 3 top 5 defenses.
Yeah. I understand
isn't Seattle another top 5 defense, Chris?
They are. And tomorrow we're going to talk a little bit about them on the Pats Nation. But so that's our assessment of this game. Hey, look, don't shy away, New England. They deserve to be here. I don't care what anyone says. This team deserves to be here, Mark. They did what they needed to do.
Deserve to be here.
They beat the teams that were put in front of them to beat, and here we are in the Super Bowl, and nobody's picking them. Nobody. As of right now. That's 4.5-point underdogs. But Weekly Rewind was presented by CORSO Law Group, CORSOLawGroup.com. We come back. Hey, buckle up. Mark, you ready to go?
I'm ready.
CATONE's comments is next.
No one ever thinks they'll be in need of a criminal or traffic lawyer. But things happen. Whether it's a traffic ticket or more serious issue, go to CORSOLawGroup.com and talk with these expert attorneys.
Time for CATONE's comments!
Listen, this week, Bill Belichick is eligible for the Hall of Fame. And he doesn't get nominated as a first ballot Hall of Famer. Now, the last couple of years in New England, Chris and I, we debated about was it him, was it Brady? We had fun bantering back and forth, and we busted beans, and we busted Belichick's beans. But listen, he's the greatest coach in the history of the game. Then the people say, well, he's one of the top 2 or 3. No, he is the greatest coach in the history of the game. He's got 8 rings. 6 as a head coach and 2 with the Giants. He's got 8. Nobody's got 8. Nobody's got 8.
And he was the architect of that Giants defense.
He was the architect of that Giants defense, positively. So I'm going to tell you something. People like Bill Polian, you senile old goat. Put him in a closet and give him and let him sit there and drool on himself. Bill Polian. Are you kidding me? He manipulated. He don't even remember who he voted for. Oh, I got to check. I'm pretty sure I voted for. How the hell is he getting a ballot to vote for the Hall of Fame? He don't even remember who he voted for. He don't know if he had strawberry or apple jelly in the morning. You're letting him pick a ballot? The whole goddamn Hall of Fame is all these Hall of Fames are a joke. The NFL had a little bit of respect left. That's gone. Every single person that knows anything about football is appalled that he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. Jimmy Johnson says, I would like to know the names of the assholes. That's what he says. Who did not vote for him? They are too cowardly to identify themselves. He says, please, if you don't vote for Bill Belichick, identify yourselves. Probably too much of a coward. Hide behind your secret ballot. He says, as a Hall of Fame coach, I think Bill Belichick is the greatest of all time. Yes, he had a great quarterback, but we all did. He won after the salary cap and free agency. Plus, I know how much he loves the NFL in the game. I'm pissed. I would bet that if the Hall of Fame votes were public, very few of those assholes that did not vote for Bill Belichick would come forward. Already some are lying about their vote. That's how pissed off he is. He's a Hall of Fame coach himself. He said, I already booked a jet to go to the Hall of Fame ceremony. He said, I canceled it. He said, I ain't going. He said, screw them. He said, nobody should show up to that goddamn event. He said, because it's a travesty. That's coming from Jimmy Johnson. Right? That's coming from Johnson. Listen, the man has 8 Super Bowls, 9 conference championships, 31 postseason wins, 302 regular season wins, and 333 total wins. The Super Bowl wins, he's first. Conference championships, first. Postseason wins, first. Total wins, first. Regular season wins, third. Are you kidding me? He's not a first. If he's not a first, Tom Brady said if he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, then nobody should be in the Hall of Fame. Nobody. You're going to hold it against him. What they mentioned bullshit about Spygate, Deflategate. So what? They're going to hold it against Brady? Deflategate? What are they going to try to say? He's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. Brady should be unanimous. And so shouldn't Belichick have been unanimous? And then, you got people on the radio, even, I'm going to call out Felger. Well, I called it. I don't have a problem. Listen, I don't care that the guy was ornery, didn't like the media, busted people's balls. It don't matter. Go by his credentials. And his credentials say he's the best coach in the history of the game. Simple, plain and simple. And listen, the last couple of years, I was not his biggest supporter either. But this is a joke. And then they're saying, well, Kraft helped orchestrate this, Bob Kraft, even though Kraft made a statement that he deserves to be in because he don't want to be inducted with him and be there with him. And he had Bill Polian work the room behind the scenes to say he's going to pay penance for a year because of what he did with Spygate and Deflategate. Oh, by the way, last time I checked, they lost draft picks. Belichick was fined. He paid his penance. He paid his penance. Whatever the league thought he did, he paid his penance for that. And this is not about that. It's a disgrace, Chris, an absolute disgrace. That Bill Polian, drive him to the nursing home. Drive him to the nursing home and lock him in room 304B and leave him there. Give him a bowl of pudding.
It's a fucking disgrace.
And there we go.
Joe, I kept it clean, Joe. Joe.
And
I
there goes
kept it
the
clean,
joke.
Joe.
Okay. It is. That's right. I said it, and I'll stand by it. Don't you dare bleep this, that we're recording it. You put that out there, because that's what it is. That's what it is.
That's your guy, too, Bill.
This is what Stephen A. Smith. I had the whole thing. We're not going to play it all, but here's some of it.
I want to respect my elders, Mr. Bill Polian.
I don't respect
Just don't
him.
say anything. You don't 100% recall whether you voted for him or not, but you recall everything else you said and what you didn't say. But you didn't recall whether you voted.
You didn't vote for him.
So
We know you didn't vote for him.
Subject, but you don't remember.
Because he was
whether or not
kicking
you
your ass
actually
up and
voted for
down.
him 100%.
Every
That's
year.
the most asinine
With
thing
Buffalo
that I've
and
heard in quite some time. Sit down. That's all I'm going to say to them. I'm not going to be disrespectful to my elders, okay? My mama's watching me from above. I'm trying to be nice, but this is ridiculous, okay? Now let me say this to everybody about the Pro Football Hall of Fame. We should boycott that bad boy. Nobody should show up. Nobody should want to go into that Hall of Fame if Bill Belichick ain't in as a first ballot Hall of Famer. 6 championships as a head coach, 8 overall, 2 as a defensive coordinator, universally recognized as arguably the greatest coach in the history of football. And if you don't definitively feel that way, it clearly is a discussion. There is no reason on earth that Bill Belichick is not a first ballot Hall of Famer. I know T.O. got robbed as a wide receiver. That shouldn't have happened, by the way, okay? What are you going to do next? If it's going to be because of Spygate, if it's going to be because of Deflategate, are you going to use that excuse to keep Tom Brady out as a first ballot Hall of Famer next? I'm telling you right now, there are certain things that are so egregious, it stinks to the high heavens that you could do something like this to this man. I don't give a damn that he was a bit truculent with the media. I don't care that he wasn't the most inviting person in the world. His credentials are his credentials.
Bill Belichick not in the Hall of Fame. And the voters who have no guts whatsoever. This is not nuclear physics or some major project with the United States. Put your name to it. If you didn't vote for Belichick, put your name to it. Show us why. Explain why we didn't vote for Belichick for this, that, and the other. Put your name to it. Show some guts. Don't hide behind, well, this is secret. No, it's not. It's in sports. It's not secret. And furthermore, think about this for a second. You think that Belichick, Kraft, who thinks he's going to get in this year after he did 14 years of campaigning with Stacey James, which drove everybody crazy. Do you think that Kraft wants to celebrate in July with Belichick? And Kraft and Polian are tight as thick as thieves, the both of them. Thick as thieves. Belichick and Kraft don't want to celebrate with Belichick. They hate each other. So that had something to do with it, too.
Well, I can say this, Chris. You'll never see.
Oh, it's you, Mark.
You'll never see Belichick here for a red jacket. Nothing. Never. You'll never see him here again. That's over. He came for Brady. You will never see that. That's over.
Look, here's the deal, okay?
That'll never be mended.
You went through the numbers. Okay, and what pisses me off too is, there's not one person, there's not one football individual out there that has come out and said, "Oh, I could see that. I could see why he's not." Okay, now I want to talk about this horse's ass, Michael Felger, for 5 seconds. Okay, because I thought about calling in there, but I don't want to be one of those sacrificial cattle that he treats like shit and hangs up on because he doesn't like what your call line said you wanted to talk about this, and then you talked about this. I can't talk about because you're not ready for it. Listen, Mike Felger, you're not outraged. I'm not. I'm sorry. I just don't have the outrage. He says I don't have the outrage that all the rest of you people have out there. I just don't have that. Yeah, because you don't like him. But you don't like him because he didn't give you the time of day, because you don't give a shit about who Michael Felger was growing up in there, because Belichick was a jerk. I'll say it. He was a jerk. I get it. He was a jerk. He was heartless, cold bastard when it came to everything. Okay? And you know what? None of that crap makes a difference. None of that matters in this realm. So when you come out and say I don't share your outrage. Well, here's why you should share our outrage, you fool. Okay? Because I can't wait. He says, well, look, karma. I believe in karma, he says. I believe in karma. What goes around comes around. All this crap. Well, guess what? You've been nothing but an asshole to everybody in your career.
Joe, he's
all the
off
way from the
rails.
big show,
Off the
all the way
rails.
to now. Yeah, all the way from the big show, all the way to now. You've been nothing but a prick to everyone. Except back then, you were a little prick that nobody liked. Now, you're a big prick that nobody likes. Oh, no, I've been waiting to say this. So we're over, Joe, and I don't care. Okay? You're a big prick that nobody likes now. And someday, somebody's going to be in a position to evaluate you for something. Is there a Broadcasters Hall of Fame? Is there something like, who knows? But someday, when nobody's listening anymore, and nobody cares about you anymore because you're hunched over drooling on yourself, which may be sooner than you think. Because let me tell you something about Michael Felger, you people out there, and I know this for a fact. This is one of the most insecure, okay, people on the earth. This guy checks his ratings every 5 seconds. When he's got a day off, he watches the show. He wants to make sure. He's petrified of losing listeners. Petrified of it. Okay? That's who Michael Felger is. And he's an asshole. End of story. Here's why you should be outraged, you fool. Let me enlighten you on it. Because if you care about any Hall of Fame, if you care about because he said it, he said, no, I believe he should be in. I think they made a mistake. But I'm not outraged by it. If you care about these organizations at all, okay, Mark, then you should care about the process and you should be outraged that anybody that has the power to put somebody into a Hall of Fame like this, that abuses that power and takes factors that aren't supposed to be considered, criteria that's not supposed to be on the table, and that's the reason you're reasoning for doing what you're doing, the what goes around comes around crap, or things that you've already been punished for, as Mark said. If you're doing that, then you should be outraged at the process. You've tainted the process. You've tainted the hall. You've put a dark cloud over the whole thing because you abuse the power that you have. And that, Michael Felger, is what you should be outraged at. It shouldn't matter who the individual is that we're talking about. It could be anybody. But the fact that they did that, the fact that there's no good excuse for doing it, and you're not outraged, you spent an hour and a half on your 3-hour show about this. So clearly it's important to somebody. That's what you should be outraged at, you horse's ass. And I can't wait for the day where somebody's ready to judge you and the karma and everything comes back around to you. And everybody then is able to check a box to say, nope, he was an asshole. He's out. That's all.
Joe, I think we need to end the show on that note, Joe.
That has been
Joe.
Zone.
So, Corso and Catone was presented by the Pats Nation, Sundays, 8 a.m. Eastern. So, yeah, I think he should be in the Hall of Fame, Mark. 8 a.m.
I was just going to ask you, are you sure he should be? But Joe, what's Chris's opinion? Should he be in?
Tomorrow we're going to have our first
Can I send a bowl of tapioca pudding to Bill Polian in the nursing home?
Yeah. And then, and send the next one to that fool horse's ass, Michael Felger. Okay? But we'll have more breakdown on our first look at the Seattle Seahawks and come back next weekend, noon Eastern, to this show. We're going to recap Super Bowl 60, including practices, media day, and so much more. Get you caught up on the Bruins, Celtics, Catone's comments, anything you bring to the table. We will be ready. We are Corso and Catone, the real deal New England feel. See you next Saturday.
Now find Corso and Catone on AM 790, The Score, iHeartRadio, iTunes, wherever you podcast. Or subscribe to the YouTube channel and catch the chaos every Saturday at noon.